gentlemen, let's go racing here at Knoxville.
Only the best go 3 abreast. It is showtime at Williams Grove Speedway.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here at Eldora Speedway, it's showtime!
You got a for a rep. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the world of Outlaws.
It's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy because, ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime! Set to do battle for 30 laps. The green flag is waving.
Hello again. It is Wing Nation presented by Sage Fruit. Talking sprint car racing, our favorite time of the week, and we are so glad that you have joined us. We got a lot to talk about. We have got a lot to talk about today. Erin Evernham and Steve Post in our Wing Nation studios in Concord, North Carolina. Erin, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. You had a little family vacation time in Florida.
Yeah.
So got a little sunshine and family fun, huh?
Yeah, and strep throat and some fevers. But other than that, yes, we did get some time at the beach.
Time from the beach and brought some strep throat home and everything
absolutely.
else. Oh, gosh, crazy, ain't it? Really is.
Yeah.
Fun times, that's for sure. Ashley sat in last week. We had a fabulous visit last week with Donnie Schatz and Landon Crawley. We went both ends of the experience spectrum last week, and it was good. And we have a great show today. Gio Scelzi and Cole Macedo going to join us today, so going to be awesome. So you and I were chit-chatting. We actually both, and I think it's rare that we both sat and watched some sprint car racing on the same weekend. I'm usually never watching it. You watch it some in between horse shows and things like that.
Usually catching highlights.
Yeah, catching highlights and stuff. But I had, the way my schedule was, I had Friday night at home, and then I was able to catch King of the West on Saturday night. Woo, man, we didn't have a lot of racing, but what we had was wild.
Wild. So I got to watch Cotton Bowl. And then I watched the NARC race, and you're not kidding. Wild racing. Awesome racing.
Awesome racing. Racetracks were fascinating. Silver Dollar Speedway. Now, you want to talk about California Cowboy Up. Yeah. My gosh. I mean, we're going to talk to Cole Macedo, and he might be in traction. I mean, have a back brace on. And he came out of it unscathed compared to others.
Some wild rides.
And then Fast was at Pittsburgh and Williams Grove. They had afternoon shows, and boy, they unfortunately had all of the woes that come with afternoon shows.
Yeah.
Jeremy Elliott also said something about that the lead track prep guy at Williams Grove had some kind of a medical problem, and so that compounded things. I love that Pittsburgh and Williams Grove had these big opening days and new people, new energy, and new excitement. These scare the crap out of me because I hope there wasn't too many new people that we didn't run off.
Turn away.
And that's my fear. But I mean, and I don't know what the answer is because, and believe me, I have no idea I have no idea what goes into this. But I do know that these places work hard to get new people there, and boy, that's a little tough to get people to come back when you have bad days like that. So fingers crossed that no damage was done, and these fans will come back and say, hey, maybe let's try this place at night, and they'll all get back into it. So it was good. So let's get right into the hot topics because you mentioned it, the Texas two-step. Erin, the racing.
There's a lot of two-stepping.
There was two-stepping, there was slide jobbing, there was curbs,
wall riding.
Yeah, we're going to talk to that wall rider about that. Erin, both nights was bonkers.
It was bonkers and produced some awesome racing, really.
Yeah. I mean, Friday night, Brent Marks, 15th career win, just comes up there from mid-pack.
Yeah.
Just like, we had Landon Crawley on last week, and Landon says, I've got the first part of the night figured out. I haven't got the second part of the night figured out. I says, you need to get with Marks. Because he's got the second part of the night nailed. If he ever starts in the top 8, you just write the check over. But, just flying. That car of Brent Marks, and we saw this 2 years ago, when that car is right, it goes straight. It doesn't broadside.
Yeah.
It doesn't broadslide.
Yep.
It goes straight. I mean, when he turns it and points it, it is coming straight up off the corner.
Yeah.
When he's on the curb coming out too, it's going straight. Everyone else has got it jacked up a little sideways.
Yeah.
When Fudd has got that car right, that car is rolling straight.
Yep.
And flying. And it was.
It was on Saturday night too.
Certainly was on Saturday night. Yeah, Gio got the win.
Yeah.
Unreal.
But Marks was fast.
Yeah.
He was there.
Yeah, like right there. Look at that car when he comes in. I mean, yeah, it kicks out a little bit, but he's just digging when he goes. I mean, it's just it kicks it out, but then when he gets on the hammer, it straightens right out and just flies down the straightaways. Gio picked up a 7th win. It was Gio, Brett Marks, and Donnie Schatz. As we look at the Outlaws this season, 7 races, 7 faces. Brad Sweet has won. David Gravel has run. Tyler Courtney has won. Donnie Schatz, Brett Marks, and Gio Scelzi. And when you look at this list, we could go a few more and not shock anybody. There's always someone that can jump up and steal one as well. Carson Macedo has yet to win. Logan Short, Buddy Kofoid. Bill Baylog has showed some speed at times.
Yeah, he definitely has.
So, man, they're off to a good start. Whew, man,
the racing was really good.
That racing at Cotton Bowl was good. Okay, so we have a little cowboy up at Cotton Bowl, a little slide jobs and everything. And our friends in California, they just say, hold my beer.
Watch this, hold my beer.
This was unreal. Saturday night, $10,000 to win. Cole Macedo, we're going to talk to. Cole Macedo, Shane Golombek, Caden Steele. I'm watching the last laps of that race, and I think I have my tweet lined up to go. Congratulations, Ryan Robinson, career first NARC win. And he comes off turn number 2 on the last lap, and holy hell.
Took a big one.
Oh, my God. And so it was crazy. That turned it over to Cole Macedo, who picked up the win. And good for Cole. He's got a great program for this year. It's going to be fun to watch. Friday night non-sanctioned, it was DJ Neto over Chase Johnson and Justin Sanders. Other winners this weekend, Lincoln Speedway, Danny Dietrich. Once he got back from Florida, Danny has been off to a really good start. 4 Pennsylvania starts, 2nd, 3rd, 1st, and 2nd. When you're on the podium every night, you're doing something right. He's also been on the video camera a lot this week, too. But that's Danny and
the Twitter machine.
We're in mid-season form with Danny Dietrich. We're all good to go. Starting strong, no doubt about it. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania Motor Speedway, Tim Schaefer went all Aliquippa on him. Oh, man, look at old Schaefer going there. We got, those of you listening to it, we have this on YouTube as well, and we've got some video going along with it. And that big old track, Pennsylvania Motor Speedway, Schaefer had that 49 car just rolling. So that was good. And then on Sunday afternoon, we talked about that afternoon show at Williams Grove. It was the Concrete Kid, Anthony Macri, picking up the win, 2nd win of the season. It looks like he got back in the family car, and it was good at the end of last year. And they had a couple got away from him, but it looks like they're back to old form. Him and Joe
breakup.
Mooney. Him and Joe Mooney look like they're and you've got Anthony Macri and Joe Mooney. So why would it not work? I mean, they're 2 of the best that we have right now. Yeah. Just getting back up to speed is good to see. So, but a wild weekend of sprint car racing. I hope you went to a sprint car race. And if you didn't go to a sprint car race last weekend, you better go to one this weekend. We need to, and this is something Danny last week on the Twitter machine was wearing people out about go to these races. I said, I'm with Danny. T-Maz won the Extreme Outlaw Series race. And he made a point in Victory Lane. Hey, and they wrapped up the interview, and he said, by the way, those of you that are here in the crowd, thank you for coming to a race.
Yeah.
And I think we just need to make sure we keep encouraging everyone to get out to the race. We're so lucky with pay-per-view. We're so lucky with social media that we can follow this stuff. But, man, I'm telling you, there's nothing better than being at a racetrack.
Very true.
Very good. Very good stuff. So, hey, we're going to dial up Gio Scelzi here in a minute. But before we do that, if you like what you are seeing or hearing here on Wing Nation, drop everything right now. Do 2 things. Subscribe to this channel and share this show with all your followers. We would truly appreciate it. We have a ball here with Wing Nation, and we just want to share the gospel with everybody else. So let's do that. So if you do that, you will be sharing our interview coming up on the Sage Fruit Hotline with Gio Scelzi, because that's next.
Tony, do you even remember how to drive one of these?
It's not something you forget. You should know that. The drive to succeed, the need to win, the desire to be a champion. And we surround ourselves with partners that believe the same. Like Tony Stewart Racing, Sage Fruit strives to be the best in all they do. They work hard on the farm, in the packing facilities, and with their retail partners to provide high-quality apples and pears all year long.
You can compare apples to apples, but nothing compares to a Sage Fruit apple. Winning quality in every bite.
We are back here on Wing Nation. We're going to the Sage Fruit Hotline. We are going to talk to the point leader for the world. And you know me, I don't like talking points until after Knoxville. But when you're leading the points, that means you're running well. So the running well, and oh, by the way, leading points, Gio Scelzi joins us on the Sage Fruit Hotline. Hello, Gio. How are you?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
We're well. Gio, I want to talk about all this sprint car stuff, but I follow along with your social media and your brother's social media. And Sunday evening, my question to you is, did you leave any food in the city of Austin left there when you guys got done? Because it looked like you had a spread for the ages.
So what's funny is, I mean, me and my brother wake up in the morning and it's, what are we going to eat for lunch and what are we eating for dinner? That's what we live our lives around, especially in a new place. So my brother, about 2 weeks ago, he goes, hey, look at your email. And obviously I have no reason to email my brother. He's like, look at your email. He sends me top 30 restaurants in Austin, Texas.
Oh.
So you can see where our focus is during the race weekend and during the week, really, when we're not racing. But no, it's funny. Me and my girlfriend and Dominic went out to dinner that night at a steakhouse called Perry's in like North Austin. And they kept bringing us like the wrong sides. Like they brought us scallop potatoes and they brought us another mashed potatoes we didn't order. And we're like, hey, we were eating it. And they came back. They're like, hey, those aren't yours. And they're like, well, you already ate them. So go ahead and keep them. So it was a hell of a spread we had. That's for sure.
It was impressive. I'm just like, you know me, I'm an eater. And I know your brother. I know your brother's got a reputation. I know you got a reputation. Your brother, he's a little bit more open with it. I'm just sitting there looking at that stuff going, oh, my God. That is impressive performance, my man. Impressive performance.
It was awesome. Yeah. If you're ever in Austin, check out Perry's Steakhouse. It's where it's at.
I have to do that. That's for sure.
Well, and I'm sure it all tasted that much better having such a solid weekend at Cotton Bowl. Talk about that big win on Saturday night.
Yeah, I felt like we really been fast all year. Putting yourself in every single dash really, means you got a chance to win the race. So felt like I had just made one too many mistakes in a lot of the features this year that kind of put me out of contention to win the race. Led some laps early at Volusia and just, made the wrong decision on lanes there, I felt like. But, unloaded really fast at Cotton Bowl. The weather obviously looked terrible for the whole weekend, so it was a miracle we didn't got any racing in. So hats off to the racetrack, too. I think that they never touched the racetrack the whole night. No watering, no tilling, which is incredible for a dirt racetrack in Texas. So, we were fast. Like I said, we unloaded really good, and it seems like we've just kind of been business as usual this year. We've unloaded good every night, haven't had to make any wholesale changes. It's one or two shock changes or maybe a bar change throughout the night that keeps us on track.
Gio, my question is, you've had 7 races with the World of Outlaws. You struggled to a 7th place finish on opening night. That's your worst run. Everything else is top 5. What's it like to be able to establish now and start to have that consistency up at the front like you guys have had this year? What's that like?
I think last year that's where we struggled. I think last year we were a 6th to 10th place car every night, and to be able to win a championship and contend for a championship, you got to be inside the top 5 and really top 3 every single night. So, you look at the stats at the end of the year, and you look at David Gravel and Brad Sweet, Donnie Shaw, Shoehart, and these guys have 40 top 5s and 50 top 10s. The totals from top 10s and top 5s aren't much different. So, last year I feel like we lacked in top 5s, lacked in wins, and lacked in podiums, but we were there in the top 10 and made every feature. And we're finishing races, which, helped our points run last year. But this year, I think, kind of breaking through early in the season to be able to contend 4 wins and make those dashes is extremely crucial. So I don't know if anything has really changed. I just feel like my guys have put the time in the off season, and so have I, and just kind of kept our heads down. And I feel like we really weren't far off last year. It's just honing in on your engine package. I mean, this is my 5th year racing for KCP Racing. And it's really taken us this long to figure out the personnel, the engines. I'm not saying we got all the answers right now, but it sure seems like we do.
Yeah, Gio, that was going to be my next question is what do you attribute this moving from a 6th to 10th place car to a top 5 car? And you kind of answered that for me. But as a driver, you mentioned it's your 5th season with KCP. You've got the 2nd year with Adam, I believe, as a crew chief. What is that experience is a huge factor when you race the World of Outlaws and you run with those guys night in and night out. But what is there something that you feel is different from maybe the way you ended last season to the beginning of this season?
I don't know. I just think patience throughout the organization has helped. Matt Barber, and Brett Nearing, the 2 owners of the race team, they've given us every tool we've needed to be successful, and I'm very fortunate that they put the trust in me and Adam to say, hey, you know, what do you guys need to win races? Is it engines? Is it cars? Is it wings? What is it? And they give us that product, and hopefully it turns out the right way like it kind of has this year. So I don't know. I think, you know, kind of growing Adam from within. Adam was here when Ian drove the car still. So he's been here about 6 months longer than I have. So he's going on his 5th year as well. And to bring a crew chief up within the organization from a car chief, and then, like I said, now to a crew chief helps. I think it's easy to look for answers outside your race team and try to hire a crew chief that has all the magic answers and is going to make you fast, you know, right out of the gate. So I don't know. I think, you know, like I said, patience is huge and
letting us develop, you know, throughout both of our careers.
Yeah, that is huge. You're right about that. We've talked about Adam. Adam Clark, his second season as crew chief. Aaron Byler, I believe it is, or Beeler. And you've actually added a new guy, Bob Curtis, to the group this year. What's that like bringing these teams? This is tough work. This is your roommates, your buddies. You're on the road all together. What's it like adding a new guy and seeing Bob pick up and really go like he is as well? What's that like with the dynamic of a team?
Yeah, so, you know, last year we hired Jack Carney, John Carney's cousin, young kid. I believe he's 22 years old. He's right about my age. Did an incredible job last year as car chief and decided he wanted to go home and race himself. So kind of really left a void in our race team. You know, he was someone that was, you know, a great friend of all of ours, did an incredible job and was young. So had a long future in the sport. And like I said, decided he wanted to go home. And anyone that knows Bob, he's been, you know, around a long time. His first year on the road was 2000. So the year before I was born. So he's got a lot of experience and he's worked with a lot of different people. And I think that sometimes that demeanor of just being around for a long time, you know, it's something as simple as knowing where hotels are, knowing how to get in and out of racetracks, and, you know, having someone Adam can trust driving the truck and trailer, and just someone that he can lean on helps as well. So, and he looks like my dad, so that's always a plus. He gets confused for my dad all the time with his big handlebar mustache. But, you know, in all seriousness, he's done an incredible job and is obviously fit right in our program.
Oh, that's awesome. You know, Gio, I know that Steve mentioned points and we're only in March, but it's got to sound really cool to be leading the World of Outlaw points. Again, I know it's early. Drivers don't love to talk about points, but it's still pretty neat for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I think, you know, early in the year, you can definitely dig yourself a hole in points. You can't win the points, but, you know, wanting to run and when you run how I expect our team to perform, you're going to be up front in points. So, obviously, there's a long year left, a lot of different racetracks. We've only raced 2 racetracks so far, so, you know, a lot of work to do. There's a handful of new racetracks as well this year I haven't been to or only have been to a handful of times. So it's going to be fun for sure. And I think this year's Outlaw Points has been blown wide open. I mean, the only returning champion is Donnie Schatz, and he's shown that he's not messing around. He's in to win a 11th or 12th championship, whichever one it is. So, you know, it's cool. I think it's almost kind of made everyone step their game up. And when you only have 22 cars in the racetrack, it almost makes the field harder because those heat races and those dashes are filled with good cars. There's no really fluff in the field.
You're right about that. You are so right about that. No doubt about that. You mentioned new racetracks. You have a pair of them coming up this weekend, a pair of bull rings, quarter-mile racetracks. You've got Kennedale on Saturday night and Big O down in Enos, Texas on a Friday night. How do you prepare for new racetracks like that? What do you look at? What do you do before you arrive at the racetrack to get yourself geared up for it?
You know, I think the last, you know, really the whole time I've been racing sprint cars, there was always racetracks I would like and racetracks I would dislike. And I think the more I've gotten that out of my head, the better I've run. Obviously, I love Knoxville. You know, I really enjoy racing at certain racetracks and you know, tell myself that I love everywhere, because if you go to a racetrack and you already don't want to be there, chances are you're not going to run very good. So, you know, I don't really mind. They're all dirt. They're all an oval. So they're all pretty similar, and especially when you have a fast car and you can unload with pretty much the same package anywhere you go and be fast. It brings your confidence level up, and when you start winning some races and kind of breaking through, it feels like we did this last weekend on Saturday, it makes going to new tracks a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure. So now, more importantly, what's on the food agenda? Any new restaurants before you get to those tracks this weekend?
You know, my brother bailed on me. He actually left. He flew this morning from Austin to Indianapolis. He's pouring a new Ultra Shield seat with Dave Sharpley. So me and my girlfriend are on our own right now. So we had a great breakfast at Einstein Bagels. That was up there. It was my first time there. So definitely putting that on the docket to go there again this week.
Yeah, Austin is just insane.
So much
it really
good
truly is. What is it? we've talked to both you and your brother over the time you've been racing, the time he's been racing. We've talked about this. At this stage in life, and your brother went home and raced for a couple of years in California, you'd see him frequently. I know you're traveling back and forth. What's it been like over like this past weekend to be at the same track, racing on the same racetrack, him being on the road with you? You two are so close together. What's that mean at this stage in your life?
It's huge. Actually, our whole family was out here. Dominic, my mom and dad, his wife and kids were out here the last 2 weeks. They came to Cannondale. We got rained out, which made us spend even more time together. And then we got the race last weekend in Page. They actually all flew out on Sunday. So, obviously racing is very serious. It's my job. I take it very seriously. But to have a little bit of a disconnect sometimes and be able to go to Top Golf and go to zoos and stuff with my nieces is fun. And it lets you get away from the stress of racing and not always worrying about, am I working hard enough? Am I putting the time in? And it lets you kind of worry about other stuff sometimes. And I believe family is the most important thing. And it's easy to lose track of family and not get in touch with my brother and my nieces, like I said, and my parents, really, even when you're racing every weekend. So it was nice to have them out for a weekend and get to spend time with them.
Here. Well said. Yeah. Madison posted a Top Golf picture. Are you any good at that?
I'm okay. I didn't have any shanks, so that was good. I didn't hit anybody or fall off the deck, so I'd say it was a successful time.
Mission accomplished, that is for sure. Yeah. Gio, what fun it is to watch you race. You are just, it is a treat to watch you. Erin and I were talking, the World of Outlaws this year has been bonkers. Yeah. And it's a treat to watch all you guys wheel those cars. But so happy for your success. And I know we'll talk to you down the road, but thanks for joining us this time here on Wing Nation.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
There we go. Gio Scelzi joining us on the Sage Fruit Hotline. Stay with us. More in just a moment.
Tony, do you even remember how to drive one of these?
It's not something you forget. You should know that. The drive to succeed, the need to win, the desire to be a champion. And we surround ourselves with partners that believe the same. Like Tony Stewart Racing, Sage Fruit strives to be the best in all they do. They work hard on the farm, in the packing facilities, and with their retail partners to provide high-quality apples and pears all year long. You can compare apples to apples,
but nothing compares to a Sage Fruit apple. Winning quality in every bite.
Welcome back. It is Wing Nation presented by Sage Fruit, and let's go right back to the Sage Fruit Hotline. Joining us fresh off from that win Saturday night out in Chico, California, Cole Macedo joins us. Hello, Cole. How are you?
Good. How about you guys?
We are doing well. Okay. How's the back? How's the legs? How's the arms? I mean, because that took Cowboy up to about 7 different levels. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I was a little bit sore Sunday, but I'm feeling pretty good today. Yeah, like I said in my interview the other night, like I really been going to the gym a lot this winter with more than I ever have, I should say, with Burnett Performance, and he's been training me and trying to help me out to prepare me for races like that.
Cole, when you talk about the physical fitness of that, I mean, obviously we'll get into the win and the excitement of it all, but not only was that track demanding, but it was a bit of an endurance race with all those cautions and red flags. Talk about the physical fitness as far as strength and endurance.
Yeah, definitely. It being 40 laps, I knew it was going to be a long race. Usually, even when it's slick and slow at Chico, there's still character to the track, so it's usually pretty demanding, but and there's a lot of cautions and reds usually at that place for some reason. But I kind of told Drew Warner, my crew chief, right before the race, and I just told him, man, like, I just got a feeling that this race, with how rough it was, that it's going to be survival of the fittest, and not that I'm the fittest, but like just surviving. I knew it was going to be a key deal there. And so I really hadn't planned on running up to the front like that quick. It just hit the holes right the first couple laps and got into second there, and it changed my race, right? But I knew my hands were getting a little bit tired there with like 15 to go, and luckily we had a caution and a red, I think, and I got to relax a little bit and just kind of talk to myself and tell myself to relax, instead of death gripping the steering wheel and just to breathe. I think that makes a big difference. So
that's fascinating to me, and it makes so much sense because I can't imagine the level of concentration and focus, and you're right, the grip on the steering wheel. The last few laps of that race, you're looking like going to have a second place finish, and Ryan was gone. Ryan Robinson was gone. Did you see that in front of you? Did you know what happened? Just what was your reaction when the lead fell back in your lap?
Actually, I was kicking myself there with 5 or 6 to go when he got the lead, just because I backed it down a notch. I had been running really hard, maybe not as hard as he was, but really hard through there in the majority of the race to get by Chase. And I knew if I could just get out in the lead, I could kind of pace, it would be a lot easier to pace the field. But yeah, I finally just told myself, man, I almost crashed a couple times, and I just told myself, just calm down. We're trying to run for points this year, and usually those races I don't finish, or I finish but with parts dangling off my car at the end of the race. So I'm always fast at them, but I kind of came in with a little different mindset this year. Just, man, I just need to finish races, and if I'm there at the end, I think that I can put together a solid night, instead of just 3/4 of the night, just getting all 100% of it. And I was like, man, I lost the race. It is what it is. I ran second, and then I seen him make a mistake in 3 and 4, coming to the white, and I was just, but he ended up gathering it back up, and then I couldn't see him. He entered into 1 and 2 so hard. Then I couldn't see him, coming when I entered the corner, and then as soon as I exited the corner, I was like, holy crap! And there was parts flying everywhere. But I was kind of hoping they would just end the race right then, because I'm like, man, this could be me the next restart. So, but luckily we put together 2 solid laps there at the end and got the job done. But yeah, I hated to see that for Ryan. He like you said, man, he was driving the tail off that thing. So, yeah.
Cole, you talk a lot about running that race and staying calm and not trying to overdrive it, and you're running for points this year. But even diving deeper into the mental side of it, a racetrack like that has holes and potholes, talk about the level of focus for maybe someone who's never sat in the car before. Not only are you navigating traffic and telling yourself to not overdrive the car, but you also kind of have to know where the holes are and lines to run. Just talk about how much focus that takes, and that's also exhausting as well.
Yeah, for sure. Most of the time you got a 40-lap race, and your focus the whole time is just hitting your marks, right? Well, it's the same way there, but you've got 17 craters in front of you on entry. So I honestly luckily the track slickened off. They worked the bottom there at the beginning of the race, and I was worried that would be the faster line just because it was smooth down there. And I ran there for the first couple laps, and I started missing it, and I was like, okay, we got to get up. And luckily I did on a restart and passed like 6 cars or 5 cars. I think I started 5th and ended up in 2nd. So, but yeah, it was really tough. Like, Chico, you already don't run very much throttle, but there with the holes, you're kind of off and on the gas and using both feet the entire race. So it's definitely a lot more demanding when you're having to use both feet the entire race. And I was more on the brake than I was on the gas, I would say. Like, even when I was on the gas, I was, fully loading the car with the brake as well. So, it definitely there's a lot more pieces to the puzzle when the track conditions are like that. But it's a lot of fun when you run good, but when you're not running good, it's just a lot of work and no reward. So, luckily we were on the good side of it this weekend. But it was just intense, and like you said, it's just takes a lot of focus, and I was gassed after the race for sure. Once I got 10 minutes or so, I was okay, but I was definitely, my hands were hurting. So. I don't know how guys like little Buddy Kofoid and even Kyle Larson and all them, they're just little guys, but they must just breathe a lot better than most guys, and are a lot more relaxed, I guess, in the car. But I'm a pretty big person, and it took everything out of me to be able to run all 40 laps there. So it definitely takes a lot.
It's an interesting point. That really is. And you think about it, the way these guys are, how everyone's built.
Yeah.
And you look like a guy that can wrestle a sprint car. Kyle and Buddy, they do, obviously, but it's fascinating. It really, truly is. Let's talk about your 2024. After a couple of years in Ohio with the Linders and everybody over there, you're back home in California. The opportunity you have with Tom Tarleton, the number 21, you mentioned you're going to run for King of the West Points, but it looks like you guys have got a pretty good opportunity to do a lot of racing out there on the West Coast.
Yeah, for sure. I the goal was, I think, 5 years ago, I think it was, when I left California, to go back and race with the Linder family and Ray Brooks and all them. The goal was to get out of California just because it was so hard to make a living here. With the cost of living and the races not paying super high purses all the time, and not much opportunity to run 410 cars made it really tough. So the goal was always to get out, and that's what my brother did, and I kind of try to follow his footsteps as much as I can, just because he's gotten to where he needed to go so quick in his career. And I landed good over there and did that for a while, and then I had been wanting to travel really bad, and so Tommy ended up putting a car out and with me and Drew Warner last year, and gave us an opportunity to race in California some, but to travel as well. And that was the goal. And then this year with all of the big races in California and all the opportunity to run 410 stuff, I shouldn't say just California, but across the West Coast, between Oregon, Washington, and California, there's a lot of opportunity to make money and run very good races, and here close to home for Tommy and his family, and Drew with his wife and kid. And I think it just made a little bit more sense for Tommy. And it wasn't I don't want to say it was exactly what I wanted to do, was to race just on the West Coast, but after it was all said and done, looking back, it's really, I feel like I really have a good opportunity to win a lot of races and make some money, and it still means something. I think 2-3 years ago, winning a lot of races in California wasn't as big as it would be this year. I think we have a month and a half of between the Outlaws and High Limit, of racing at all my home tracks here, and then in some in there in Washington. But I'm excited for this year, and I've got some other stuff in store too. I might be able to race for Philip Dietz, maybe once or twice, and then I'm running on the Honest Abe Roofing 16 a little bit more this year. We had a good first outing, so luckily they've wanted me to come back a little bit, so we might run some of the midweek High Limit stuff. And I think I'm set up pretty well for 2024.
Yeah, it sure sounds like it. What are some great opportunities? Cole, when we start off the year with a big win like this, the Mini Gold Cup, $10,000 to win, that certainly has to, set your confidence a little bit higher and be even maybe more looking forward to the year ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, in this sport, winning races is what gets you to the next one. So, I started the year off there with the High Limit Series and the 16 car, and a car I've never ran, and at a track I had only ran a couple times before that, and ended up running second, and that, I feel like that really pole vaulted my year. I feel like that was probably my career best run, other than maybe my All-Star win. But there was a lot of good guys there, and it gave me a lot of confidence to be able to come back home and drive a car that I am familiar with Drew Warner, that I raced with all last year, and run very well. And I actually had higher expectations than what we did this last weekend. Just didn't play out. We had a little struggle Friday night, but luckily Drew and Nate and Kobe and Landon, they all worked really hard on my car Saturday night, and ended up getting me comfortable in the feature there to be able to show what we came there to do. So it just starting the year off with a win is huge for the rest of the year, because everybody's on a high, and Tommy wants to race. My Uncle Tom's excited, I'm sure. Drew Warner and the guys, they're all excited, and I think that we have a very good opportunity this year to have a lot of success.
I do too. I love the move. I think the move makes so much sense, especially with so much racing on the West Coast. It's really, really neat, that's for sure. All right, final question for you, because it always comes back to food around here.
Oh.
Now, when you were with the Linders, we occasionally would have Sunday afternoons with you on the grill, cooking for the group, cooking for the team, and everything. You still manning the grill for the team out there? Are you cooking anything? What do you got working on there, chef?
Yeah, I when I'm home, my dad, he's a big cooker, but as well as my brother, Carson, he's big on it right now. He's got the flat top grill, he's got the Traeger, so anytime we cook out, it's usually not me anymore. Luckily, I guess they just sit back and enjoy the good food. But we're actually going to have a team lunch today with Tommy, and we're going to somewhere, I'm sure, barbecue. And then tonight, it's Drew Warner's wife's birthday, Marissa, and he's having a little cookout, kind of for the win, and as well as her birthday all in one. So he's going to get up on the Traeger, get up on the wheel on that thing, and I think that I think it'll be a good feast for all the guys. So.
Man, I'll tell you what. Well, I like cooking. I like eating better than that. You've advanced your program that you just get to sit back and enjoy it now. That is good stuff. Cole, Cole, we are so excited about your start to the season. That second place run of the high limits was phenomenal, and then to do what you did Saturday night just took it to another level. Congratulations, and thanks for the time. I'm sure we'll be talking to you throughout the season.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on.
There we go. That's Cole Macedo joining us on the Sage Fruit Hotline. Stay with us. More Wing Nation in just a moment.
Tony, do you even remember how to drive one of these?
It's not something you forget. You should know that. The drive to succeed, the need to win, the desire to be a champion. And we surround ourselves with partners that believe the same. Like Tony Stewart Racing, Sage Fruit strives to be the best in all they do. They work hard on the farm, in the packing facilities, and with their retail partners to provide high-quality apples and pears all year long.
You can compare apples to apples, but nothing compares to a Sage Fruit apple. Winning quality in every bite.
Man, oh man, did we get an earful with Gio Scelzi and Cole Macedo?
We did.
My gosh, the youngsters are wheeling the cars,
and they're crushing the interviews.
They are. Exactly. I mean, that's fantastic. I am so excited about where we are with sprint car racing this year. Mm-hmm. I just think that I think Gio said something that kind of tickled me a little bit, and we had Donnie on last week. Donnie is on the chip.
Yeah.
Donnie is, I'm telling you, and again, here I am in March talking points, but I'm telling you that 15 is going to be a handful before we get to the end of the year for a lot of people in a lot of races. Just is. That's just the reality of it. And so you have that, but you have all these kids.
Yep.
Everywhere in between. My gosh. We are living
And we're talking about food.
And we're talking about food, and they're all eating well, too. Like, that taking care of us big boys. I mean, I thought that was funny. Gio says 2 or 3 weeks ago, Dom sent him the 30 best restaurants in Austin.
God.
So that's what that is cool. And now Dom's getting a new seat report. I wonder if that's related to all the food. Yeah.
No comment.
Yeah. They're working with Dave Sharp. Dave Sharpley is one of the greatest guys, man. I've gotten to know him a little bit. He was up in Millbridge a few times. I just think the world of Dave, and I'm glad to see when I see his logo on the sides of seats and stuff like that. Darren's stuff, they're working together on a lot of things. Really good to see that, that's for sure. Also good to see is the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, one sprint car place in Knoxville, Iowa. We don't have a lot of birthdays this week. Later or Monday.
Well, there is a birthday on Saturday that's not on here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, it's not on your calendar
It's not
either.
on my calendar either. Is it on Ray's calendar?
It better be on Ray's calendar. It better be on Ray's
We're not
calendar.
worried about Bob Baker's calendar. We're not worried about Steve's calendar. Ray's calendar
Yes,
is the one this one
that
better be
would-
on.
yes, that
I got
could be
Ray's-
damaging.
I'm going to shoot.
You might
I'll
let
shoot
him
my
know.
man a note just to make sure that he's on board with the plan here. Hook my man Ray up just to make sure. I'm sure he is. Okay. Russ Clenenden Monday, and then tomorrow would have been the birthday of 1993 inductee Bob Trossel. What a fascinating character he is.
Such a character.
You got to know him a little bit.
I did get to know him pretty well. Yes, he was just such a neat guy, so knowledgeable, so passionate about the sport, and he was actually very helpful and supportive of when I ran Knoxville and made the nationals and kind of caught his attention. So it was really neat to get to know him a good bit.
They said his mind, like he could tell you the temperature, the shocks, the springs of a 1972 race at East Bay. They said his mind was unreal.
Yes.
Wow.
Reminds me a little bit of, or he did remind me a little bit of John Bickford.
Oh,
Jeff
yeah,
Gordon
John Bickford, yeah.
Who still to this day can tell me what bars they ran at a sprint car track. And he asked me what we ran, and I'm like, I have no clue.
We had this idea. This goes back on the Wing Nation time machine. Okay? I think Kendra might have been my co-host. Kendra couldn't be here, and so we said, let's find someone to come in and chat with racing. We offered the side seat to John Bickford and said, who do you want to talk to? He said, I want to talk to Sammy Swindell. Okay, you want to talk about a conversation, who doesn't belong and why? John Bickford, Sammy Swindell, and Steve Post. I mean, they might just as well have done the interview in Greek, anything else. I mean, and they had a ball. Oh, they had a ball. I don't know what they said. I don't know what they talked about.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I mean, but it was fascinating. Yeah. Oh, well, Sammy, do you remember at Riverside? You had this bar and that. No, I had that. I changed it to that bar after the B main.
To this day, he'll ask me what we ran at some track, and I'll be, I have.
Those guys are unreal.
Yeah.
I love that.
Me too.
Attention to detail. Back to Bob Trossel. He was born in 1933 in Des Moines, Iowa. He built 537 cars over his career, but not only the mind, the eye for talent. He took chances on young drivers. Listen to these three: Doug Wolfgang, Jan Opperman, and Steve Kinzer. Kinzer and Wolfgang won their first Knoxville Nationals in his cars. The other thing that I was fascinated is we all talk about during our off season, during our winter, the summers in Australia. He was a key pipeline, instrumental in that pipeline to Australia. Bob passed in 2015, but he's forever enshrined at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. And they have their 2024 Sprint Car raffle going on, a Triple X chassis with a 410 Al Parker racing engine.
Yep, and there's a cash option if you don't want to go racing, $50,000 cash. Tickets are $10 for $25, and you can get discounts for even larger purchases. The drawing date is December 23rd, 2024.
Details, sprintcarhof.com. That's sprintcarhof.com. And I love that place. Love that place. All right, we spent the first segment just raving about the weekend we had in the past. Now, selfishly, I am fired up. Okay, but let's run through this, and then I'm going to share what my fingers crossed plans are. But World of Outlaw, pair of new tracks for the World of Outlaw and Erin. They're both quarter-mile bull rings.
They are. The Big O Speedway and the Cannondale Speedway, both staying in Texas.
Nice. NARC King of the West is in Merced, and there is more and more short track weekly racing, Erin.
There is, yep. Attica, Raceway Park this weekend on Friday, Williams Grove as well. Saturday, Farmington Empire Speedway. It used to be St. Francis County. Yep. Lincoln Speedway at Port Royal, and Sunday's Baps.
So you see, there is 1, 2, 3, 4 races in central Pennsylvania. Okay? It's not a bad little jaunt right up 77. No, I actually go 220 up through Martinsville, up to Roanoke, and then right up 81. So fingers crossed. I'm going to wait until Thursday morning to pull the trigger because weatherish. Hey, this thing is a moving target. Like 2 days ago, it looked terrible.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
Yesterday like the biggest day of rain was 17%. I'm like, okay, I'll drive to Pennsylvania if that's the biggest one. Now we're 17, 83, and 7.
Yeah, it's a game time decision these days.
So I'm going to wait until Thursday. I've got hotels picked. I've got everything picked out. I'm going to try to catch up with Ashley. Swing by Lethal Chassis as well. I got to deliver some Baylog syrup to her.
Oh,
yeah, some Bill Baylog syrup, Anderson's maple syrup. But fingers crossed. I'm telling you, I went to Lincoln a couple weeks ago, and I'm just like, the calendar is circled for my next sprint car weekend. And it's this coming weekend. So, Danny Dietrich, I know you got other things you're worried about right now, but let's work on the weather up there, okay? Let's put a little of that energy away from the restart line over at Williams Grove, and let's focus a little bit on the weather up there, okay? Jeremy Elliott, let's go. Ashley, let's go. Let's work on that weather up there because I want to head north to see some sprint cars. I'm hoping. The game plan would be Williams Grove, Port Royal, and Bass. Because I did Lincoln already this year. You know, the nice part about Saturday, if that's the bigger rain day, there's 2 chances. Yeah. Lincoln sneaks races in all the time on those.
They do.
They have a knack, and you're not going to get me arguing if I end up at a second time at the fabulous Lincoln Speedway. So I'm not going to whine about that. So, but we're just going to see. Like I said, I'm going to wait until Thursday morning to make the decision. And it's funny because I'm sitting here and we talk about teams that go with a true outlaw schedule, and they're like, well, one of the advantages is you can watch the weather and you can decide whether you go east or west or north or south. I'm only going in one direction if I go, but it is kind of nice to be able to sit here and on Thursday pull the trigger on what I'm hoping is a trip to central Pennsylvania to catch up with the posse. Oh, man, it's going to be awesome. It is going to be awesome. So, and I want to double back and double down on what I said, something I said earlier. If you are in an area that has a sprint car race, for God's sake, go. Go to a sprint car race. You might just like it. No, I know you're going to love it, okay? But go to a race. We are so fortunate with all the ways to follow this sport, and they all pale in comparison to being live at the racetrack, okay? So go to your local racetrack. If you don't have a sprint car in a race in the area, go to another race. This past Saturday, I went to Hickory for asphalt super late models and Lancaster for dirt super late models. Go to a racetrack. Get out there and support these racetracks. We don't need any more places shutting down. Those stories are way too often and getting old. They really are. So
very true.
Awesome stuff. All right, man, Erin, what a ball. What a blast. I mean, this is what Gio and Cole were phenomenal.
They were so good.
Like, man, they just laid all the insight onto us from everything. Oh, so good. So good. Great stuff, that's for sure. So we do appreciate it. We do appreciate Gio and Cole for joining us. She's Erin Evernham. I'm Steve Post. More important, though, than all of that, thank you for joining us this time on Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit.